Hi folks, this is Pablo Coma, developer of Healer's Quest. If you like poor English spoken with a French accent, don't move from your chair. You're listening to Rated R podcast from Bamsters.
Hola. Welcome back to the Bamsters Rated R show. This is the week of April 16th. I am Draconus, and stick around after our little N.U.T.Z block here. We've got our Healer's Quest interview. But right now with me in the hot seat, I have the man, the myth, the Danish legend, G.
The what? What are you on about? Dear Sidekick, yeah. Hi everybody, it's me, G, and yes, it's an episode. Hooray.
Well, I say we jump right into it. The first one I wanted to hit was something that we talked about last week. Boss Key had come out, and I know G is loving the phrasing here, but had admitted defeat on a dead game with Lawbreakers. Said that they were moving on to something else, and we said, well, stay tuned. We'll have to see what that is. And 2 days after we recorded that, I think it was the same day the episode came out, they released Radical Heights on Steam. It's a free-to-play battle royale game.
So it's another battle royale game. Yet another one.
Yep. I'm wondering. I guess I should say before I get into that, the Fortnite servers went down within a couple days of them releasing the game, and so they had some high-profile folks like Ninja on there playing the game and streaming the game, which I think helped to get them some additional attention. But I'm wondering, and I've seen a few other folks kind of echo this same kind of curiosity. Since they're releasing on Steam, and you're not having to go out like with Fortnite and download Epic's installer and whatnot. A lot of people do use Steam, keep track of their stuff there. And the fact that they're free to play versus where PUBG you have to pay to actually even get into the game. If they may have found a little niche where they might get an edge, at least enough to keep them alive, if not even, blossom and thrive. But it's got a heavy 80s look to it with, kind of a Running Man style theme. And if you're expecting to use something to slow you down before you hit the ground, don't, because I think one of the things I saw somewhere is you hit the ground running, and they mean that literally. So there's no parachute or glider or anything like that. As you come down into the, we'll call it the arena, you literally hit the ground, roll, and off you go.
I wouldn't call this Running Man style. I mean, and I'll admit, I haven't seen that movie since I was 16, 17 years old. Perhaps.
I think Running Man was probably a lot more gritty, and I haven't seen the movie since I was young either, but it's something about the suit that they start you out in before you start being able to unlock and find cosmetic items and stuff. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Running Man. It has a very heavy game show theme to it, so much to the point where while you're in there, you'll hear an announcer come across a loudspeaker that plays throughout the entire arena, and they send in different drops that they announce, and some of them are like Wheel of Fortune or what was the other one? Was it like Price is Right or something like that? Type wheels where you can get prizes out of that. And all these things that you might want to go pick up like that also make you a target, because you have to stand there long enough to activate it and then collect whatever it drops. Plus everybody else in the world gets the same announcement, so they know where it is. But the other couple of cool things about this, aside from the nostalgia from the whole 80s look and whatnot, is they've added BMX bikes to the game. So you get an opportunity to ride around and you can do some tricks and stuff on that. And you can shoot while riding the BMX bike, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, wouldn't know about that. I was 10 last I had one of those, so we weren't really shooting people back then. You're making me think. Sorry, background noise. You're making me think. Do you remember Death Race?
I do.
Yeah, in that one there was... it's the same idea like Running Man. It's a game show, right? And whoever has a family member get murdered first won a prize? So I'm wondering, it could be an interesting effect. Oh, if your friend, somebody on your Steam list dies, then you might win a prize if they're the first one to die in the game. Could be some fun effects.
Well, they have solos and duos so far, so I don't know if they've considered any kind of mechanic like that, but I've played a little bit of the solos. It's kind of fun. It's, if you like battle royale games, I would say it's definitely worth taking a look at. If nothing else, I mean, hey, it's free, so all it's going to cost you is a little bit of time. But one of the other things that they do with it that's a little bit interesting is, rather than using a big circle that narrows throughout the gameplay, they have a grid pattern laid down. And so the grids will close off in different patterns throughout time, and you basically have to maneuver, not always in a straight shot towards the middle of a circle, but maybe around an area that's already closed off. But it's been kind of fun. It definitely needs a lot more work and polish. It's very early access at this point. There are some buildings I went into that looked placeholder, in that, when you go into the building, the walls are there, but it's just a flat gray with like a lighter gray grid pattern on it, which to me looks like the texture pattern isn't there yet. So just keep in mind, it is very early access, but at least thus far it's been a week, I guess, and they seem to be doing all right so far. So hopefully they're able to continue to, get more and more content out there, and we'll see how that turns out. Hopefully better than Lawbreakers, that's for sure.
Well, I think by now they have more players than Lawbreakers, so success.
Yeah, they did. And, with Lawbreakers, we talked about that last week, but I think, in part at least, being overshadowed by things like Overwatch and maybe the time they released it. It was difficult for them to find and keep an audience, I think, because the game itself, it was fast paced and I thought it was fun to play, but yeah, they didn't keep an audience.
It just looked generic and irrelevant, except for that one feature. So yeah, might as well play any of the other games. Sorry.
Well, and from that, moving on, the king is decrowned and banned from future competitions. With regards to this, we're talking about the gentleman, Billy Mitchell, who had the first person to reach, I think it was score of 1 million on Donkey Kong. They've now invalidated that score because of him using an emulator versus an actual arcade machine.
Okay, I used to like going to the arcade. Heck, we had one, like, in my family. But I never were that competitive. I don't... Yeah, okay, it was the first kind of esports, was, how good could you do in arcades, and I know in the US it became a thing with competitions, etc. But, why would you bother? That was just at a point where it becomes stupid. Oh, he can move his finger faster than other people. Good on you. Nah. Let me just play the game instead of, ooh, look who can reach 1 million points in Donkey Kong.
Well, you can make the same argument for current day esports too. He can shift his wrist and click the mouse faster, or click the buttons on the controller.
And there are a sports element in it. There's a reason why people who play these tend to do better when they're in their younger ages, let's put it that way. Because it does require certain, both hand-eye coordination, but also a certain stamina, because some of these really require you to focus and be at your top, at your best. So, hey, football players, why look at them? It's more fun to participate. But arcade, that was too simple. I'm sorry. Modern games, at least MOBAs, etc. Team games, there's a little bit more tactic, etc. in it, and it gets a little bit more interesting. And yay, he didn't do well. Well, he did do well, but he didn't do it right. Too bad.
Yeah, he had to know going in that, especially if you're that good and you're going for a Guinness record, you have to know going in what the rules are, and if you want to try and skirt the rules and you get caught, hey, that's what happens.
Yeah, it's just sorry, to me it's just an irrelevant topic. I mean, no, it isn't irrelevant. It's topical. Yay. It's just not one I can connect with at all.
I think it's another one of those kind of nostalgic things for me, because I do remember a little bit as a kid, seeing it, like articles and stuff like that about different competitions with people. And I remember thinking too that, oh man, that would be cool. Of course, I was never going to, good enough at any arcade game that I would have ever been in a competition like that. And man, I can't count the amount of quarters I sunk into those machines. And it was well worth it because it was entertainment. But yeah, I never was going to be that good that I'd be in a competition like that.
Yeah, I don't know if I sunk that many quarters into it, partly because we didn't have quarters. We, different currencies and all. But yeah, okay, I have good memories of that time. Tivoli was in town. They brought their own arcades, playing Contra, the old one. An hour past the Tivoli had closed because I couldn't end the game. I just kept playing the same one game. That was fun. But no, competing on that? No. Not worth it. Show me some team sports at least.
I think it'd be or I agree, I should say, it's definitely more interesting to watch team sports, but I also understand the competitive nature of things like that. You're in a group of friends going to the arcade and seeing who can get, a higher score just for fun. Just like when you're playing something like Mario Kart and you guys are racing against each other. Of course, that's happening real time versus just a high score. But back when, the arcades were out and that was popular, we didn't really have that option.
Oh yeah, there was a point where arcades changed in that they could store the high scores across night, because at least the ones I attended, they got turned off at night. They didn't leave the machines running overnight, so next day the whole high score was deleted. But by mid-80s, they started to have battery backups, etc. So you could see the high score for several days and weeks, and you could compete locally at least. It was fun enough, but national level competition in Donkey Kong, etc. No. Don't. Let's talk about something else. BAFTA was this weekend.
Yeah, I was just going to think that would lead well as a segue, talking about competition and whatnot. We can go right into BAFTA.
The British Academy Game Awards in this case. Because it's the film and something. I don't think they've changed the name. BAFTA still doesn't refer to games, but they now have a Game Awards as well. And this one was interesting because everybody, I guess, were waiting for Breath of the Wild to win everything, because that's what it did everywhere else, right? This was literally one of the complaints I've seen online. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice won a lot. And people were really complaining, no, Breath of the Wild should have won. I think there's a psychological difference, a cultural difference, why Hellblade did so much better at BAFTA than, for example, in the various US Game Awards.
Well, I haven't played Hellblade, but I have seen some video from it, and it definitely looks interesting. So it looks like they definitely put a lot of time and polish into it. And I am curious to learn a little more about the story, but I'm not one of these that thinks that Zelda needs to win everything. I don't need that validation for the game. I've enjoyed the game. I have my things that I love about it and things that I really don't care for about it. But I don't think it needs to necessarily win every game or award like that.
I've stayed away from Hellblade myself because it deals with psychological issues, and I don't want to play a game that does that at this point in my life. There's personal reason for that, let's put it that way. But everything I read about it, everything I've seen, just tells me this is an awesome game, but it requires a little bit different mindset perhaps than Zelda Breath of the Wild. So I can see why people would choose it. I mean, just look at this one. Artistic achievement, Hellblade won. Over Cuphead's Gorogoa. I don't actually know that one. Legend of Zelda, Horizon Zero Dawn, Uncharted. These are not small titles, so that's a fairly good one to win. Audio achievement, again Hellblade, over Call of Duty, over Destiny 2, Horizon Zero Dawn, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Uncharted. Again, that's not a bad bad group of people to come up against. The audio in those games are supposedly some of the best ones recently, so yeah.
Oh yeah, it definitely had some very good competition for it to win the awards that it did. So
Best game. What Remains of Edith Finch. Again, one of those I haven't actually played myself, but up against Assassin's Creed, up against Hellblade, Horizon Zero Dawn, Legend of Zelda, and Super Mario Odyssey. That's done well again. What Remains of Edith Finch have also gotten rave reviews everywhere that I've seen it, so best of luck to them. Well, I guess not best of luck because they already won, but all the best to them.
Well, and I think one of the things that I like about this, the games that are winning some of the awards there, is that you're not... Sometimes with the large game award shows, especially here in the US, it almost feels like they kind of follow after one another. And it's not that the games that are winning don't deserve that, but the cool thing about this is that we're seeing games, at least at BAFTA, that are winning that aren't necessarily, these big, well-known titles. I mean, I'm sure they're well-known, but like you mentioned, you hadn't heard of Edith Finch, you hadn't heard of Gorga. I hadn't heard of either.
Finch. Just I haven't played it myself.
Oh, okay. I hadn't played it, and I hadn't heard of either one of those. But the cool thing is that, at least with the Edith Finch one, it's story-focused. With Hellblade, it looks to be pretty heavily story-focused.
And I think that's the difference. That BAFTA has really rewarded a lot of particularly story-based and the ones that have gone beyond certain normality in visuals and audio. Whereas, I'm sorry, but some of the other award shows have just gone, oh, this has the best graphics, the best audio in a more nominative setting. So a lot of
and I think that's what I was. Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to kind of get to. You just had a better way of wording it. Because I mean, when you think about it, when you remember video games, it's the experience that really ties you to that game. Now, of course, part of that experience is going to be the art design and the graphics and music and things like that. But what I think really makes a game truly memorable is whether or not it pulls you in, to the story or the gameplay mechanics that really keep you coming back.
Try this one on the category British Game. So, yeah, they don't take their whole world into account here. Again, Hellblade 1. Ninja Theory is just running away with things. Monument Valley 2 from Us2 Games. Reigns Her Majesty from Nereal Limited, Devolver. The Sexy Brutale. Sniper Elite 4, okay, something we know. And Total War Warhammer 2, which is quite a different take on Total War, in my opinion. There's some good titles, but also they're titles that might not have gotten as much attention outside of the UK or outside of Europe. So, good on them, but again, Hellblade runs away with that one. One that had me surprised, debut game. So, somebody, new studios, new developers, that sort of thing. I fully had that one for Cuphead, but Gorogoa, I don't know it, I'm sorry. They won that one. Hollow Knight, Night in the Woods, again the Sexy Brutale, and Slime Rancher. So, quirky games I'm going to go for. But I really had that one for Cuphead. I'm surprised. Sorry.
No, Cuphead did get a ton of attention, so it would make sense that kind of game, and especially it's not what we're typically used to seeing for most games. So yeah, I can understand why you'd go with that one.
Yeah, evolving games. So games that are released but getting updates in various forms. Usually games as a service. Overwatch 1. And I think it's not really a surprise because they've just been sitting on everything. As per their style. Let's put it that way. It's been nice. I shouldn't complain about first and third person shooters all the time. Clash Royale, not surprised they were in there. Final Fantasy, Fortnite, PUBG, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. Good AAA titles almost across the board. Well, really across the board. Just, do we still call Clash Royale a AAA? Yeah. But it's no surprise Overwatch won it at some point. People keep talking about Fortnite, but Fortnite is a fairly new phenomenon. And PUBG is just not that good. Sorry.
I've played a little Fortnite, not much, and I haven't played any PUBG, so I can't really compare the two other than videos I've seen.
Well,
but I know that
Overwatch has the sharpest gameplay of any of that list. It's just definitely worth it. That should have won, and it did.
Yeah, I keep meaning to pick that up at some point and play that. I mean, I don't play a lot of PvP stuff, but it's one of those things at some point I definitely got to check out.
Then how about family games? Because everybody in BAMS are family folks. Well, except Jolly. The rest of us have kids. It's not a surprise. Super Mario Odyssey. Up against Just Dance, Lego Worlds, Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle. That one looks awesome, actually. Monument Valley 2 and Snipper Clips. That's a pretty good lineup as well. And Super Mario Odyssey, congratulations for winning that one.
I can't say I'm surprised with it winning that one. Looking at the other things that are in there. And some of those other games definitely are pretty cool, like the Mario Rabbids one you talked about, or Lego Worlds. I know Just Dance is popular, but what
Just
can I say?
Has been there and done that, right? And even said that I would buy it. I haven't, but I would buy it for my girls, hands down. That one, Lego Worlds were the ones that I would go for my family. But in terms of more broader appeal, yeah, I can definitely see why Super Mario Odyssey wins that one.
Yeah, well, with Lego Worlds, the Munchkin and I have played that a little bit on computer, on PC. But yeah, as far as Just Dance goes, I'm a white dude. And I'm a chubby white dude. I can't dance, and you don't want to watch me try either. So yeah, that would be left up for the girls in the house.
Yeah, game design. So the actual designs around and inside the game. Super Mario Odyssey wins this one. Up against Assassin's Creed Origins, which, yeah, there's a lot of new things, and I can see why it's on there. Horizon Zero Dawn, definitely. Legends of Zelda, again, yes. Nier Automata, no surprise it was on there, and What Remains of Edith Finch. But Super Mario Odyssey just got that little bit further, I guess.
Well, you mentioned Assassin's Creed Origins, but I think the problem with games like Assassin's Creed and this was something I saw in a Jim Sterling video that kind of called my attention to it. But he's absolutely right. Is Ubisoft really has a formula that they follow cross through all of the games that they're publishing, and you can look at The Division, you can look at Wildlands, you can look at Assassin's Creed. All of these games have all of the same types of activities and rewards in them. So while they're telling a new story in the Assassin's Creed story arc, the gameplay itself, while there are some differences, it really follows a formula, an existing formula that's been around for a while.
Oh, definitely. It's interesting also because they use the same engine across most of Ubisoft. It has an effect that they all feel largely the same. So, no, the last one that I wanted to bring up just from this BAFTA, there's other topics, other categories that we haven't touched on, but performer is one of those. I like that they include these. The people who done, whether it's motion capture or voicing, face capture is a thing nowadays, and they're getting at least some recognition through this. I should say, not surprisingly, again, Senua, Hellblade. Senua, acted by Melina Jurgens, took that one. On the list, you might recognize names like Claudia Black. Gee, is she up again? But also, yeah, from Assassin's Creed, Horizon Zero Dawn, all the usual ones, really. I'm loving that it's in there. And hats off to those performers. I hope we see more of this. I hope we see it split out and broaden more. A little bit more movie, Hollywood style?
Well, no, it's definitely good that it's in there, because these are the folks who are bringing these characters to life. They're breathing life into the pixels with their performance, so to speak.
Yeah, to some extent, yes. Without them, it would be a very different experience, and motion capture has definitely expanded gaming quite a bit.
Attention Radical Heights contestants, incoming prize packages for your enjoyment.
Good, that was BAFTA. It says something here about time.
Well, we have done a preview/review piece for Tower of Time, and just wanted to bring it up real quick before we run into our Kickstarter topic. But they've gone now. It's a full release on Steam for $25. So if it's something that, if you're into RPGs, it's got an interesting mechanic whereby when you're in combat, it's not a pause mechanic so much as it slows time down. So the enemy creatures that you're fighting up against are still moving towards you, but in a much slower speed, giving you a little bit more time to react and do things. And if you like real time instead, you don't have to use that mechanic. But it's kind of an interesting, neat thing that they've done there, and I like the way that worked.
So that's coming out, that's released, how is it?
It's released now on Steam for $24.99.
25, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into our Kickstarter roundup.
Yeah, every so often I like to just look at what's up on Kickstarter. Again, we can't cover everything on Kickstarter, because that's just impossible.
Well, we could, but how much time do you have?
Oh no, we could make a daily segment. Here's the latest in Kickstarter. Definitely. Like, we could put out something every single day with new Kickstarters, and I don't want to. But at least in the game segment, you know, the bits we talk most about, there's a few ones that I just want to bring up. A big one that I've kind of sort of followed after discovering it. Escape Doodlands. That's not dude as in men, but dudes as in doodles. It's a doodle world where you're a doodle. You're a doodle monster. And it's been run over by a bigger monster that wants to eat you or kill you or something at least. I'm not sure what doodles do to each other. So it's in a platformer. It's a very fast-paced 2D platformer where you play as this doodle that has to escape the much larger doodle trying to eat it. And you do so by running and farting. The whole thing it's hand-drawn. It looks really, I'm not going to say gorgeous or awesome. It looks funny. It's doodles. It's really well done. All the effing doodles they've done to make this game. It's completely hand-drawn.
Yeah, and we've checked out some other hand-drawn titles in the past. I think Little Acre is one of the ones that comes to mind. I've actually, these are some pretty cool ways to make these games and neat visuals to see. But I can't help myself. As I'm hearing you describe this, I'm just thinking they needed to license someone to make a theme song for it that takes the Barbie song from what was it back in the 90s sometime and make it, I'm a doodle girl in a doodle world.
Yeah, but you're not a girl, you're a monster.
Yeah, but it could be anything, but just with that same song. Who did that? I can't remember who did that one.
Seriously. That was
Aqua, that's right.
They were, and they're from my country, they were the biggest export one year. We export Lego, we export oil, we export Echo shoes, you name it. We've got some serious exports. One year, the main export was Aqua.
So, anyway.
Bit scary, but yeah. Just to mention it looks like a really cool one. They're only asking for 10,000 California dollars? No. Canada dollars. Kanagi dollars. Why is it saying CA? Oh yeah, Kanagistan. That's, 6,500 euros, so real money. They're so far, 1,200 euros. So there's some way still, but it's early days. Check that one out. This one I want to see you succeed, because I love games that are drawn that way, that are going a little bit different, and it has multiplayer in it where you can make life miserable for your co-players by farting, because you have to fart to get away from the monster. And hey, if Drac gets caught in a blast, sucks to be him.
Sounds like I need to draw myself a little gas mask. All right. Sure. So next up is a game called N.U.T.Z, and the Kickstarter think is either just getting started or will be getting started here real shortly. This is some folks we're going to look at seeing about doing either an interview, a live stream, or both. And it's kind of a I don't know. I kind of looking at the game. I kind of mash all kinds of things together in a way to describe it. So it's a 2D game, side scrolling, in the vein of things like Contra, if you remember that one. They've also compared it to things like Mega Man and Metroid. I've even thought, looking at the character design, that the armor that some of these characters wear looks kind of Halo-ish. But the game itself is called N.U.T.Z. And it's basically these squirrels living in their own little world, trying to defend themselves from some kind of alien invasion.
I'm liking how, it's a platformer, but you can still aim in a 360 radius. You can still aim whichever way you need to. It tends to make it more difficult for those of us who are challenged when it comes to motor controls. But it's a nice little feature.
Yeah, the art style looks kind of cute, and the gameplay looks like it ought to be fun. So keep an eye out for that, because we should have them on our live stream, or on an interview, or both, sometime in the next few weeks.
Yeah, and they are actually live, because I'm seeing here about 1,100 euros out of 24,000 euros, or 38 California dollars, Kanagi dollars. Yeah, Kanagi dollars.
So go check it out. If it's something, there's a free demo on Steam from what I saw as well. So if it's something that you want to try out a little bit as well, if you like it, then definitely another one you can go support.
Yeah, the last one I wanted to bring up here, we talked about it before, because this is a reboot Kickstarter. It's Pantropy. They didn't go very well with their first one. They had some headaches. They were, according to themselves, they made some mistakes. And now they're trying again. And this time they've asked for 20,000 euro. And they already hit that. They are at 33,000. This means they're already hit the first stretch goal. And we're definitely hoping they hit the next one, because that's player versus environment servers, and less PvP, more PvE. It's always good in my book.
Yeah, they were like halfway funded. I think they said in 3.5 hours, and fully funded in 24 hours, right around that time frame. So they've already hit the first stretch goal, and yeah, I agree. I definitely want to see them hit that second stretch goal. I expect this is that'll be a lot more fun. I'm not huge on the whole PvP stuff, because I don't like, buttheads coming through and griefing, or whatever. When you're just trying to kind of hang out with your buddies and have some fun playing the game, and you got somebody coming in kind of messing things up. So yeah, definitely. Hopefully they'll hit that 40K that they're looking for to do the PvE servers.
Yeah, somebody over on the Tweety gave me an idea, because the game has mechs. Now you play as a regular human, but you can build mechs and crawl into them and run around with mechs. They need to make a battle royale out of that. Like 100 people onto an island, a handful of mechs spread out that you could find along with other equipment. I would play that.
Wait a minute, we talked about battle royale. You said you had no interest in that.
Generally, I don't. But Fortnite battle royale is okay. It's just I suck at it. PUBG just looks boring as hell. But this, I could see the fun part in. I didn't like Titanfall, full disclosure. But the way they made their mechs, it looks fun, it looks interesting. And I think that could... Just the crying that would come out when somebody goes, oh shit, I didn't get a mech, but that guy did. I'm getting shot to pieces.
You see that kind of thing in any battle royale, though, because, you got people who are picking up weapons. They find much better weapons than others. So, yeah, I mean, if you could either find the mechs like you're talking about, or maybe find different materials strewn about the level that allow you to construct different mechs, that could be cool.
Oh yeah, you get almost all the pieces and then you get shot. And somebody picks up your pieces, match with what he has, and he starts building a mech. But yeah, seriously, I would go for that. There needs to be a Battle Royale mech Pantropy stretch goal thingy on this one.
Well, I know these are some other folks that I think we're looking to try and get on the show, but we haven't fully connected, I don't think, on this yet. So keep an eye out for this, but go check out the Kickstarter, look at the videos. It definitely looks like it'll be some fun, and I'm, the game is going to be made. They've already hit their funding, but yeah, I'm hoping they hit that 40k euros so that we can get the PvE servers.
Yeah, the difference, I should say, in funding level is this time they're just asking for the funding to take them into early access, as opposed to take them through early access. So we should absolutely expect to see this game hit full-on early access along with the stretch goal. It's I'm liking this one. Fingers crossed we get the next one as well. Next stretch goal. Anyways, that's everything we have for news. Coming up, Healer's Quest interview, where you'll hear me and Drac whine a lot about being healers.
Yeah, stick around for this one. The gentleman Pablo that we interview there, very nice guy. He's created a kind of a unique looking game with a twist a little bit on your typical RPG party and how things work. So stick around, and we'll be back right after the break.
Do you like video games? Do you like healing people? Do you like Belgian comic books? You came to the right place. I'm Pablo Coma, developer of Healer's Quest, and you're listening to the Rated R podcast. Ooh yeah.
And hi everybody, we're back again with one of those interviewy thingies. Yes. As always, here's G and my sidekick for today. Say hi to Draconus.
I'd ask why I'm the sidekick, but then I guess that would answer that question.
It's one of those you just can't walk away from. It's just, you're the sidekick, hereby defined.
So yes, we're back with another one of the as G likes to call them, the interview thingies. And with us today we have Pablo, of the developer for Healer's Quest. Pablo, say hi.
Hi everyone, I'm Pablo Coma. I'm a game developer from Belgium. And yes, I'm doing an indie game, Healer's Quest, which is about to release on Steam. Otherwise, I'm also working as a game developer in the Smurf studio here in Belgium. So I'm a double game developer in a certain way.
I think you just answered one of my questions that I saved for the end, but I'm going to ask it anyway when we get to it.
Oh, sorry.
No, welcome. I was actually getting ready when I saw that, we've been told that it was a Belgian who was coming on. So, okay, I'll prep my Dutch and get ready to say goedenavond. That turned out to be useless.
Yes, ik kan een beetje Dutch praten ook. But I'm French. I'm in the French part of Belgium, so we can't really speak Dutch tonight, I'm afraid.
Oh, we have a Wallonie with us.
Yeah, I live in near Liège, actually, in Wallonia, yes.
Oh, nice town. Nice place. Oh, should I say pretty? I like the place. I like the town, Liège.
Yes, it's a nice town, and people are very friendly around there. I lived in Brussels for most of my life. I just live here for the last 4 or 5 years, and people are really, really nice around here. It's a nice place to live.
Okay, I know this is not the topic, but you kind of just indicated, yeah, people are nice where you live now, and before that you lived in Brussels. People are not nice in Brussels.
Oh, yes, there are.
There's something implied there.
Yes, but it's a bit different. No, actually, I don't live in Liège. It's near Liège, but it's more on the countryside. So when you go outside, everyone is telling hello to everyone, which barely never happens in Brussels. So that's why I'm telling that people are maybe warmer, but they're also very nice in Brussels, of course.
Okay, Drac, you probably have some gaming questions instead.
Well, I guess first off, I'd like to know, how did you get into making games?
Oh, it's been a long story. I started making games when I was really young. I think my first project was when I was 13 years old. I started a project which has close to zero chance to to actually make a real game out of it. But Yeah, with a friend, we started making graphics, and we had no idea of how to program a game, but we tried anyway. And later we met another friend, which is a programmer, so projects were a little bit more serious. And like that, during my teenage and young adults, I made at least 5 game projects. And they all failed, often because there was not enough people for the programming and all that. And still, 4 years ago, just before starting to work on Hero's Quest, I started a project in 2012, which was called Lost Spirits of Kel. And again, for this game, I was doing music and graphics, but I had no programmer with me. So I found one on the internet, and we worked a lot on it for 2 years. And you know what? It failed again. The programmer didn't really make it. It wasn't really working so well. So after all that time, I decided to learn programming myself. And Hero's Quest is the first game that I make everything on my own, even the programming. Before that, I wasn't able to do it. Hopefully, I found a very, very nice game engine called Construct 2, which is noob-friendly, I would say. So anyone who wants to make a game with that game engine is able to do it, even without a programming background. And that's what allows me to make my game alone today.
Well, that's very impressive. So you've done all the artwork, you've done the music, and all the programming. That's all you.
Yes, I even do some of the voices, actually. Yes, it was my goal to make something really on my own, to see what I can do just by myself and dedicate my game to my children. That was also a very important point to me.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know what to say, but...
Can I interject something? So, the past projects, didn't you learn something from them? I mean, you say they failed, but we all have projects where we learn things more than release things, right?
Especially the very last one, Lost Spirits of Kel. I actually set up the graphical style I'm still using in Hero's Quest in this one. Maybe we'll talk about the graphical style later. It's a game that has a very different ambient, but the graphical style I'm using is quite close. And also it was the first game for which I was composing the music. So in this last project, I sure learned a lot from the experience.
But it's an interesting scenario you're mentioning. You have the artistic side, and you were looking for developers. I'm in a fair amount of gaming and development, particularly indie development groups. And one thing that always comes up is people looking for artists. Like programmers, there are enough of. There's always a bit of a glut for more graphic artists, audio artists, etc.
Yes, I wonder if it's not more the case now than it was in 2012. I think programming for video games is a bit easier those days than the point where it was 6 years ago.
It's definitely changed, I agree with that.
Yeah, but I don't know. I never searched for graphical artists, so I don't know how difficult it is to find someone.
It's just interesting because I see them come up all the time. Oh, we need somebody working audio, or we need somebody to do pixel art or 3D art, etc. But rarely do they come up and say, oh, we need a programmer.
Yes, I think that's because also if you want to make a video game, 9 times out of 10 you are already a programmer. I think it's the most important role, because now that I make everything myself, I believe the programmer is the one who puts the game together, and it's a lot of work. And now that I made the programming for one of my games myself, I don't think I search again for hiring a programmer. I think it's too much. From a certain point, it's the programmer who makes the game. It's the programmer who will decide the gameplay, how the game feels and plays. And I believe it's maybe more of a central place compared to the art section or the music.
When I saw a video that you put up on the YouTube channel for Healer's Quest with the, I think it was one of the castle dungeon level designs, where you basically just started out and paint up a whole castle and put in staircases and doors and different walkways. That was really neat getting to watch that. I was kind of curious because I know it's a time-lapse style video with it's just under 10 minutes, but how long did it actually take you just to do that one image?
I'm working quite quickly actually. Generally, when I make a time lapse, it's the time is multiplied by 10. But maybe for this one, it was a bit more. I wonder if I didn't take maybe between 3 or maybe 4 hours to make the complete drawing, which I believe is not all that much for the size of the castle. But once again, for the graphical style, I don't use a pencil. You surely seen the video that I immediately draw the masses of colors, and then I sculpt the volume just with the colors. So I think the fact that I don't use a pencil or anything similar on the computer to draw the edges allows me to go a bit faster than what people might think.
Well, I was still getting pretty neat getting to watch that though. I enjoyed that. I like getting to see kind of the behind the scenes stuff that developers work on.
Yeah, I tried to make some time-lapse videos when I got the chance to do it because I don't have a super powerful computer, and often there is a performance drop when I do that, so I can't make it always, but sometimes it's cool.
Well, let me ask then, what was your inspiration for making this specific game? For going the direction that you did?
Oh yeah, I wanted to make a game where I put the player in the role that is considered by many people as the least interesting one. Tell you everything. I remember exactly when I got the idea of the game. I was driving and I saw a car which ID was 1 bot, B-O-T. And I told to myself, it will be cool if I make a game where the player is playing as the bots and there are more important, and actually the player will be played by the computer. And from that point, my mind quite daydreamed about it, and I came to the point to tell myself, yes, generally in the games, the healer is sometimes controlled by the computer while the player is fighting in games like Final Fantasy 13 maybe. And yes, so I tried to make that game where the player has the least interesting role, is the healer, and I'm gonna prove everyone that it's a very interesting role and there is plenty of things to do with that role. I don't know if that answers your question.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a little curious. So it's a fantasy setting. You get swords and magic and whatnot. Can you talk a little bit about the actual setting, the world that we find the characters in, the different dungeons and maybe disasters that we might see throughout the adventure?
Yes, let's start with the setting. Yes, it's a world a bit crazy. I may compare it to maybe the books of Terry Pratchett or some films from Monty Python. It's a bit crazy because the characters are aware that they are taking part into a video game. So that was the starting point of the scenario, and starting from this, try to come up with a story filled with in-jokes for geeks and to make reference to video games as much as possible. And yes, the dungeons, for example, the first dungeon is classical dungeon. It's on purpose a really stupid name because it's really classical, and characters will make plenty of jokes about that. For example, one of the first fights in the game, you're fighting against rats and bats, and one of your characters say, "Rats and bats so bland. How can they put this in a game?" And another character told, "Yes, we are an RPG. It's mandatory to have such enemies in the beginning of the game." So yes, the goal was really to make something that breaks the fourth wall and something as funny as possible.
Well, that's one of the things that seems to be kind of the key element, is the sense of humor that is woven throughout the entire game. So I am a little curious, how much of that we can expect to see. It sounds like quite a bit as these adventurers kind of bungle their way through the different dungeons and whatnot. You were mentioning commentary. Is there a lot of commentary like that we can expect to see throughout, or is there other situational type humor that we'll see?
Actually, every level is has a dialogue. So the first time you go into a level, you automatically have a dialogue, and you have more than 200 levels in the game. So yes, there is a lot of dialogues. I'm sorry, I'm not sure I fully understand your question still. Did that answer what you wanted to know?
Yeah, no, I was just curious because the sense of humor really seems to be one of the main things for the game. So I was curious how much, just with dialogue, which it sounds like there's quite a bit, and other stuff. I did see there was a quick clip I caught, and I don't remember if it was on the Steam advertisement or if it was another YouTube video, whereas your party of characters comes running on screen to face off with the monsters that they're going to fight. The knight gets knocked into the water by the archer, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, there goes your tank for the battle, what happened?
Yeah, there are plenty of levels where there are special things happening. So you just mentioned when the knight falls into the water, but there are also other levels where you have a party member leaving. I won't spoil too much here, but yes, you can expect the sorcerer leaving when he's angry, and yes, there are quite a few twists on the basic idea of having your team being healed against the enemies. Sometimes you only have one ally to heal. You have challenges that you must overcome, and other things like that.
I just want to jump back to a couple of the bits you mentioned. For starters, this whole breaking the fourth wall. Done right, that can be amazing. I guess for anybody who doesn't understand that reference, breaking the fourth wall, to say, watch Deadpool, because that's literally what he does all the time. Also means, I kind of hope you have a Deadpool reference in there. Just pointing out.
I'm afraid I'm not very intimate with Deadpool. I don't know very much that comic. But yeah, the breaking of the fourth wall here in Healer's Quest is mainly, the characters being aware of being part of a video game, being aware of what happens in video games normally. Because they, for example, at another moment, you find a diary, and immediately the sorcerer tells you, "Oh, that's to save your game. That's how it works in RPG." And then maybe it's something else than what you expect. But I like this kind of things in the scenario. But never you will have a character speaking directly to you, the player. Just that they are aware of being part of a video game, but they never really interact with the player.
Okay. No, it was pretty much what caught my eye. When I first saw this game. This idea that, you play the healer, which, as you said, it's probably the one in computer role-playing games, CRPGs. Probably the position most people loathe. As in, when we discussed during this interview internally in BAMSIS, several of the guys change the discussion to how much they hated being healers in World of Warcraft, etc. It's kind of like, gents, that's not what we're here to discuss. It's cute, but you're kind of being a joke right now. This is an amazing setting. I like the idea that you have here.
Thank you very much. Actually, I believe the reason why many people don't like playing the healer in video games, especially in MMORPGs, is because you are dependent upon the skills of your allies. If you are teaming up with a team of noobs, as the healer, you won't be able to carry a game in League of Legends, and you probably will miss the dungeon or the raid in World of Warcraft. So here it's a bit different because it's a single-player game. So, and to make a joke about that, I on purpose decided that your allies will be noobs, so that your people who are playing MMORPGs know that okay, it's the same. I'm with noobs, so I have to do my best, and okay, it depends on me. But yes, it's a different approach because yes, being in a single-player game is quite different, I believe, than what you might expect in multiplayer games.
Yeah, and I would say likewise when we talk outside of computer games, at least on pen and paper, tabletop settings, as the healer or the cleric or whatever they're called in the various game settings, you usually have access to options well beyond what you have in computer games. As far as role-playing the healer, that adds a whole lot more to it. For most people, the healer is just, the one that casts spells that heals us. I hope in this game we get to do just a tiny bit more.
Yes, of course. Actually, you already have a lot of spells to manage, but you also manage your allies' equipment. So there's a full inventory system with legendary loot that you find. There's 100 objects in the game. Each is very different, and you have to decide which object you will equip on which character. You're taking, of course, an important role in the story. And other than that, yes, there are a lot of things to manage. You're also triggering the super moves of your allies, and you must be very wary of your hit gauge. So yes, the gameplay is quite deep, I believe. At least I try to make it as deep as possible, so it's not just press the heal button and make everyone be be on their foot.
Yeah, it seems there's a little bit more to it. I'm curious, you say we're breaking the fourth wall, etc. Do the team itself know that they're absolute amateurs? Or are we having a case of, a little knowledge is a bad thing? Are the team basically sure that they're superheroes? Or do they comprehend that they have no clue what they're doing?
They're aware of being the heroes of the game, but they aren't aware to be the bunch of noobs, and they don't know that actually the healer is the hero. So that's another thing. But yeah, they are aware to have seen up for making the game and such things like that.
That sounds a little bit actually like real life playing games too sometimes. I didn't expect there to be as many options because of the art style. I didn't think there were going to be a lot of options when it came to character creation, but it looks like there's quite a few little things that you can do, and some other things that it looked like were thrown in just kind of funny. I know when you switch from whether you pick a male or female character. What was, I guess, just even with the character creation, you weaved in that sense of humor in there. So was there a reason why for that?
Yes, I wanted to have immediately the player into the sense of humor of the game as soon as they start the game, because the character creation is the first thing everyone will see while playing the game. So I tried to put special attention to it and to put quite a bunch of jokes in there. I got quite a lot of compliment from the boobs. The boobs options when players try it. Definitely click on that if you're trying the game someday.
See, Drac, now you're walking into one of the questions I'd marked, which technically have been answered, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. During character creation, in at least one of the clips, we see a strange hat that kind of tilts forward. Where did you get inspiration for that one? That is an interesting hat.
Oh yeah, I see what hat you are talking about. It's a Smurfs hat, actually. Yes, it's a personal reference, I will say, as I'm working still today, actually, full-time in the Smurf studio. Nowadays it's as a game designer, but I entered 13 years ago as a computer graphic artist. So the Smurfs are
working with Smurfs for 13 years.
Yes, I've been Smurfing for 13 years. Yeah, it's a personal reference. I'd like to put some Easter eggs here and there. And it's not the...
Oh, it's cute. Definitely. It's really cute.
Thank you. It's not the only Smurf appearance in the game, by the way. The other one is near the end of the game.
I was kind of halfway expecting it to, instead of being a strange hat, to be a Schtroumpf's hat. Because I guarantee nobody outside of the Francophone countries will have any idea what Schtroumpfs are.
Yes, Smurfs have a different name in every country. In Spanish, it's Los Pitufos. In French, it's Les Schtroumpfs. So I did not wanted to mention that, and also because it's not only a Smurf hat, it's also a type of hat that you can find elsewhere, like in the French Revolution, I think they were wearing such hats. So yeah, it's a reference for sure, but I didn't wanted to mention it really. Also, even though I work there, so I doubt there is any copyright infringement, I still prefer not to mention the name.
Oh yeah. And it's something I noticed. Drac already kind of walked into the graphical style. There is something, can I say, Belgian about the visual style. And for people who might not have read Belgian comics, they are drawn differently than what you're used to from pretty much all other countries. They're much softer, much more curves to all the lines, etc., and cleaner lines, I'd almost say. And you carry a lot of that over into this game as far as I can tell.
Yes, from one point, it's completely true. As I've been working on Peyos, Peyo is the creator of the Smurfs. On Peyos creations for so many time, I think I've been influenced by that. For example, I believe the bushes in Hero's Quest are quite close to what you can see in a Smurfs comic books. But on the other side, I don't draw any lines in the graphics of Hero's Quest, so I'm quite far from that. Mostly from the clear line of Hergé, who draws Tintin, for example.
Oh yes, granted, if we take Hergé and etc., there are differences, but the overall style, to me at least, feels very, I'm gonna say, Belgian.
Yeah, it's Belgian. It comes from Belgium, so probably I've been influenced by the art of my country, I guess. But it's not really. I didn't want it specifically to have a Belgian style. I believe I just wanted to have something, yes, maybe different to what we find elsewhere. Didn't want it to have 3D, no pixel art. I wanted something a bit softer, yes. Like you said.
And now I'm pondering whether I completely confused Drac, who runs our comic shop talk, the segment we do about comics once a month, by saying names like Hergé.
Confused? No. But
so you do read non-American comic books?
I have from time to time, but it has been a long time. I think, man, I want to say the last time I looked at something, was it Asterix and Obelix? Fight. I don't know. That was many, many years ago.
Yes, we have plenty of cool comic books in Belgium. Actually, Belgium is quite famous in Europe for their comic books. We have Franquin, who draws Gaston Lagaffe, for example, and plenty of other things. The Marsupilami, Spirou, and Fantasio. I don't know if those kind of things are known in America. I believe it's not.
Well, not specifically to me, but I'm not the expert on the comic shop talk parts. That's TJ, so he may actually know some of those. but I couldn't answer for him. I'm sorry.
I think Marsupilami is called something else in English. It completely escapes my mind right now. Okay, into the game, because let's get back on track so we don't spend too much time talking about everything else. The game mechanics, when you first look at the game, it's set up a lot like turn-based tactical games. But best I can tell, it's actually real-time.
Yes, actually, it's you're right. It's real-time because you cast your spells without any delay. You have cooldown on your spells, but you don't have to wait for your turn to cast them. So for you it's real time, but your allies and the enemies are also fighting real time, but with a slight delay before each attack. It's a bit like in let's say in Final Fantasy X maybe, where you have to wait a little bit of time while your character is idle before he can attack. But this is managed automatically by the computer. But okay, everyone is fighting and they have their own idle time between each attacks. So yes, I can say it's turn by turn. There's a delay on the attack of your allies and the enemies, but you are definitely playing real time as a healer.
And the actual combat is generated as it is going on. It's not predefined set of attacks and counters by the other team. The computer is deciding in real time what to do.
Yes, exactly. So attacks are mostly random. There are rules behind them, but actually everyone is fighting and you have to react to what happens on screen. A bunch of things that you must take into account. For example, there are a good lot of debilitating status effects. For example, you have poison, size reduction, confusion, vampirism, and all of that have influence on the way you should play the game. You have a spell which allows to get rid of those kinds of effects. So you have to manage and react quickly to what happens on screen, because combats are quite frantic, especially in the highest difficulties. So yes, that's about it.
Well, it sounds like you have multiple different types of defense and healing type spells. I know that is primarily the job of the healer, but in some RPGs they also have attack functions. Does your healer in this game have any way of assisting with an attack if you've already caught up with everything on healing, or no?
Absolutely not. No, it was one of the constraints I wanted to put myself, to really limit the role of the player to healing people. I think if I put just one way to attack, it changes the feeling and the ambience of the game a little bit. Because now you don't have any other choice than keeping them alive. But that doesn't mean that you don't have an input on the damage your team will deal. Because, for example, your knight will deal much more damage when he's close to full life, while your barbarian will deal much more damage when it's close to dead. So that's one way that you can actually have an input on the damage your team is dealing while only healing your team. So you can decide to put a shield, for example, on the barbarian when he's low on health, and put defense on him at this moment so that he deals huge damage. And of course you must try to keep your knights as full health as possible so that he deals also additional damage. And like that, every character in your team has a special ability which triggers in certain situations. So you definitely have an input on the damage you're dealing. But yourself, you don't attack and you don't deal damage.
Well, now I assume too that, like with many other RPGs, you don't have access to all of these different types of spells when you first start. So can you talk a little bit about how character progression works throughout the game? Sure.
So indeed, at the beginning of the game, you only have one spell. And each time you pass a level, which is quite quick in the first level of the game, you learn a new spell. And there are up to 18 basic spells in the game. So you already have quite a lot of of options from there. Something that you must keep in mind is that you always have to select only 4 spells from your pool of spells for one particular level. So you must really choose wisely which spell you are using for which combat. And other than that, you also gain more mana with the levels. And the most important parts of the character progression is in Healer's Quest is the skill trees. You actually have 1 skill tree per spell, so that makes a huge amount of customization possible. One day I counted the number of upgrades that is available, and it's about 250 different upgrades that you can apply to your spells. So once you choose a strategy with a bunch of spells that you really like, you have to upgrade them. You have many different type of upgrades. For example, you have passive and active abilities. Passive abilities that comes into account in the combat as soon as you have the spell equipped. And you even have secret upgrades that requires you to upgrade first another spell to a given level, and only when you do that the secret upgrades unlocks, and then you have generally a powerful upgrade that have some synergies between the 2 spells needed to actually activate it.
Sounds like there's some complexity in this thing.
I believe it's quite deep. At least I tried to make it as deep and interesting as possible. But once again, I choose to make a game about something that I guess many players will think, yeah, it shouldn't be interesting. Playing the healer, it's not interesting, not many options. So it was really important to me to prove they are wrong and show that there are many things to do with that role.
Yeah, I can't help imagining there's a lot of marketing people out there screaming right now. It's like, you can't make a game about that, it's boring. Nobody will play it. But you can, and I think you've done it.
Maybe the marketing people are right. We'll see if the game will sell or not. It's too soon to say it because it's not yet on the Steam shelves at the moment. But yeah, I tried to make something at least that was never done before. As I'm working alone, I can also do that kind of thing. And okay, if the game is not successful, it's not a big drama. There's no one who will lose his job because I'm doing everything myself and I'm doing it afterwards. So I would just have lost a lot of time. But okay, I'm ready to take the risk to try to make something new.
Yeah, your Kickstarter said something about taking 60 days off from work to do this thing.
Yes, indeed. The Kickstarter was successful 2 years ago. So yes, it was barely successful actually. So it's really 2 hours before the end of the campaign that I managed to reach the goal. But still, it has been successful. And yeah, thanks to that, I've been able to work full time on the game for something like 3 months. So it was a huge help, and also it was also my dream becoming reality, I'd say, because I always wanted to be a full-time developer. And that allowed me to taste to that style of life, and I really enjoy it. And I hope Healer's Quest will be very successful, so that I can do more full-time development for my own games.
Do you hear that, people? Go out, get the game, if for nothing else, to make sure Pablo can make more games, because he's really enjoying this.
Thanks.
No, really, mate, I have faith in this game. I like it. The whole idea is ludicrous enough that it should work. But the styling, the humor, everything you put into it, it is a genuine product. I really like it.
Thank you very much for your kind words. I hope many people think like you.
Drac's still complaining. He wants to not play a healer, but you know. Sorry, Drac?
Oh no, hey, of course, that's never the favorite class. But I see this comes out on Steam on the 18th of April. If depending on how things go, or have you considered releasing on other platforms as well? Is that even been an idea at all, or no?
Yes, it's released on Steam, but also on various other stores on PC. I have a distributor. I'm working with a Plugin Digital. I don't know if you know them, but they're distributing the game alongside many platforms, but it's always PC at the moment. The game engine I'm using is quite limited on the export side when compared to Unity, for example. So it's impossible to export for Switch or for PlayStation 4 at the moment, sadly. Xbox One is an option, but I'm not sure Healer's Quest is really a type of game you want to play on a gamepad. Would be possible, but in my opinion, it's better to play it with a keyboard and mouse. And about Mac and Linux, yes, that's something I'm thinking about. But yes, to reach the deadline of the 18th of April, it was a bit short to have something really clean, I'd say, for Macintosh and Linux. But yes, if people are interested, I may take time to make a version for these two platforms. I need to purchase a Mac and a Linux computer first, so it's not sure I will do it. But it's on my mind.
Well, you might be able to get G to test it for you on Mac.
Oh, great. No problem, we'll do that.
Yeah, sure, why not? No, yeah, if there's anything I can do, because it's no secret I run on Macs and PlayStations. Literally the only thing I don't game on is Windows computers because, Windows, you.
Oh, that's too bad. So you won't be able to play Healer's Quest.
I might be stealing my daughter's computer for that.
Please do.
Okay, Pablo, it's that point of the interview where we ask the supposedly penultimate question. The question we ask everybody. And given where we are, this is going to be possibly a difficult one for you. But here it is. In all simplicity, what kind of bacon do you like? How do you like that bacon? And what kind of drink, for example beer or cider, would you like with your bacon?
Okay, as you probably know, bacon is not such a thing in Belgium. But I appreciate bacon. It's not every day that I eat some bacon, but I mostly eat it fried at breakfast. Sometimes at home, but it's quite rare. Generally, it's when I'm staying in a hotel and they allow for British breakfast or American breakfast. Sorry, I don't want to shock you. But yes, bacon for me, it's on breakfast only. Quite now that I think about it, a couple years ago, I liked bacon in burgers too. There were a delicious burger done here in fast food in Belgium, and I always took the big bacon, it was called. Yeah. And what kind of beverage? Actually, it's a bit problematic because I mostly drink only water. Sometimes with a fruit juice on occasions, but I suppose eating bacon is one of those occasions. So give me my fried bacon at breakfast with an orange juice and I'm really happy.
You know what? That works perfectly fine. And you're right, I haven't seen a lot of bacon products in this country. It's a bit weird.
Oh, you should be sad about that.
Do you know what? I'm not, because one of the things I found is fairly readily available in Belgium is pata negro, if you know what that is.
No, I don't know that. What is it?
It's also going under the name, probably more commonly, jamón ibérico. Iberian ham. Salt-dried or air-dried Iberico pork. It is delicious. Like, I will eat that before bacon anytime.
Okay, I have to try that. I don't think I already eat that. That's something to try.
Look for any market that you can find where there might be a charcuterie. Go there, ask if they have a jamón ibérico or pata negra. They're not exactly the same, but it's close enough. be fair warned, it's usually in the 100 to 200 euro per kilo. Like, you buy very little of this, but it is delicious.
Okay, thanks for the tip.
And yeah, I know, we ask, what kind of beer or cider people want with the bacon. It's perfectly fine to say orange juice, because, as you said, breakfast bacon. We don't have to drink beer for breakfast.
We don't have to?
Well, to be fair, Drac, over here we have actual beer instead of the water thing that Americans drink.
Once upon a time, that might have been true, but with all the microbrews that are around anymore, I don't know.
Yeah, but we can go to a regular store and buy proper beers here. I'm just saying. If you want anything good about Belgium, it's the beers. We have excellent selection here.
Do you have in America beer specialized cafes? Because here in Belgium we can go into a cafe and they have up to 50 different beers on the card to choose from.
Yeah, there are different breweries or microbreweries here where you can go in and try anywhere from, a small selection of a few all the way up to maybe even as many as a couple dozen beers, different flavors, different types. I was just at a place called Bay Bridge Brewing last week, and some of the ones that my wife and I tried there was a pumpkin ale that we tried. We tried a horchata one that's really good, and horchata it's at least as far as I know it's a Mexican drink. It's like rice water with cinnamon in it, and the beer itself had a very similar taste to horchata. It was pretty amazing. And what was the other one I tried? Oh, it was they called it the Peanut Butter Cup Espresso, and it was a real dark and kind of thick beer. And you could definitely taste the peanut butter and the espresso taste right off, and then it would leave you with a little bit of hint of chocolate as the aftertaste.
Wow, sounds really like a thing. Great.
Yeah, that's the thing I've noticed. Over here, we still hold somewhat true to Gambrinus' Reinheitsgebot. But Americans, the microbreweries have gone berserk and just do weird shit. Do weird things.
No, that's cool. It's true enough.
But yeah, the Delirium Bar downtown Brussels, the menu of beer, and it is just beer, is written on A4 paper and it's several pages thick.
Yeah, it's amazing, those kind of shops in Belgium. Too bad I don't drink beer, so I can't enjoy it.
Well, at least you can find fresh orange juice in pretty much every store that I've noticed.
That's the nice points with orange juice and fruit juice. You can find them everywhere.
Yep. Well, I like it whenever I used to work outside of Brussels and go down to the train station to catch my train, and there would be a little machine where you put your little bottle into it and it squeezes oranges straight into it. Delicious. Okay, we're getting off track. Pablo, it was awesome having you on. I've said it a couple of times. I love the style of your game. I love the graphical style, which, again, to me, very Belgian. I know, as we talked about, it doesn't have quite the clear lines that we see in a lot of them, particularly Hage again. But it has those soft curves and, the characters were a little bit diminutive and everything. I'm loving how it looks, and the humor and the goal that you've set with it is just perfect. And it's out there far enough that this has to be a success. At least I want it to be a success. Because it hits all those little points that I really like. It isn't just, look how much damage or look how much healing I can do. It's also the stories and the whole breaking the fourth wall. I'm loving it. I can't say anything else.
Thank you very much for your kind words. It goes directly to my heart. As you know, I made everything myself for this game. So when I hear such comments, it was really worth it to work on it for 4 whole years. So thank you.
Well, and you said earlier that you were setting out to make something that wasn't already out there, and I think you definitely accomplished that, both in the look and feel of the game. The sense of humor is wonderful, and also the fact the core of the game with the fact that you're playing as a healer and kind of stuck into that role. You don't get a choice to which character you want to play in the party. So yeah, no, I think you definitely accomplished that, and now I'm interested in looking into this one.
Oh, I hope you like it. Yeah, definitely try it. Good idea.
is it wrong of me to already say, do you know what? A sequel where our little healer friend becomes perhaps a necromancer and kind of have to balance being a newbie necromancer?
Whoa, that's quite an idea. Can I use it?
Oh, go for it, because it's one of those tabletop options you have when playing cleric in a fantasy setting. Is you're gonna be good or bad, and down the path of bad, there's a lot of fun options. But we don't have them regularly in computer RPGs because it just becomes how many skeletons can you raise. I think in a game like yours, in a setting like yours, in a game with those mechanics, you might be able to explore the role-playing side a bit more. And the whole, oh no, now I have to raise some skeletons again.
Yeah, there's definitely some more games to make with that settings and that kind of ideas and gameplay. But I'm not sure if I will do it immediately afterwards. It's still a good idea. Necromancer Quest could be something. I don't know if the name is already taken. But thanks for the idea. It's a nice idea. Thanks.
Well, normally we give bacon-related ideas, but I figure for this one, something a little bit different, because your game is just that a little bit different that it deserves a little bit extra. Necromancer Quest, yeah, go for it. Pablo, we're all done here. Thank you for joining us. And for everybody out there, go buy this game. Really, head over to Steam, find it. We're pre-recording things, so it might not be there yet. If it is, buy it. If not, wishlist it.
Thanks a lot for having me, and I hope to hear more of your podcast very soon. I listened quite a couple episodes before being here live with you, and I really enjoy it. It's really nice, and thanks once again for having me.
Oh, friend, that goes straight to the heart. Thank you. We try. We're rank amateurs, but darn it, we try.
Thanks for listening to Rated R Podcast. Feel free to subscribe to the podcast here below.